Hi everyone, I'm Nadine and I'm going to talk a little bit about choice, which is kind of a weird thing to talk about at the moment because nobody has very much choice in what they do or how they spend their time. And yet it can feel like people are making huge choices every day. Lots of people I know are moving hundreds of miles away from where they currently live, having babies ahead of schedule, or really getting into the zone when it comes to their fitness. And it can make you feel quite inadequate. What am I doing, in this year of fitness, and can really add to your low mood, particularly at a time when the weather's pretty bad. There's lots of mud if you're a dog walker like me, and there's a huge amount of Zoom fatigue going around. I've got quite an interesting situation in that I've got chronic fatigue syndrome. And whereas a lot of people can find that their physical and mental health go hand in hand, for me, sometimes there can be a bit of a conflict. So where lots of people, if they exercise, will find that it gives them endorphins. If they're outside, they'll get a hit of vitamin D and it can improve their mood almost instantly. For me, if I overdo it, which is really, really easy to do, I can find that it can exacerbate my symptoms for days, sometimes even weeks. And that can take me into such a low mood that I start to think, what's the point? So it's a weird situation with COVID because I almost find myself getting FOMO, and not how you would typically see FOMO in fear of missing out on an exciting show or holiday or something that somebody else is doing, but almost missing out on this great year of fitness and this gift that other people seem to have been able to give themselves. And I got myself into this boom bust mentality. So my housemate that I was living with at the time started to go through and do couch to 5K, and I thought, yeah, why not? Let's do the same. And I found myself really struggling, losing entire weekends trying to keep up with the routine and still finding myself slipping weeks behind. And it really dragged me into such a low place because I couldn't understand, why can't I do these simple things? My boyfriend was walking marathons sometimes at the weekend and I couldn't even run for 3 minutes without having to stay in bed the next day. And that was leading to me getting absolutely no exercise then at all. And you really do start to question, what is the point if I can't leave the house? What am I even doing? What's the point in my life? And it takes you to such a low place. And the thing that I've learned through all of this is that it doesn't have to be about the big choices. In fact, some of the healthiest choices for me are the small ones. So I started trying a different routine of walking the dogs before work, just for 15 minutes. So a really small amount of time. And I found actually coming back into the house, my motivation to work hugely increased. And weirdly, my motivation to exercise again later in the day, but for a small chunk of time, also increased. And I found myself doing a good amount of exercise, but in really small chunks. And I'm also, I'm an emotional eater, so I eat whether I'm happy or sad, which is a bit of a lose-lose situation when you can't exercise it off. And I didn't want to deprive myself of some of those treats, especially if that was, the good thing in my day was treating myself to a takeaway at the weekend. So what I started doing is trying to have smaller portions of the same food. I'd have a kid's portion of fish and chips or whatever it might be, so that I was making those different choices, but not fundamentally having to change my life. And overall, the biggest choice is just to be kind to yourself. If you get through, that's okay. And trying to get yourself into that mentality makes a real difference. And I just want to say to everybody else out there, if you can't face the big choices, if all you can face is small choices, that's totally okay. And you know what? You can still change your life and your health, just one very, very, very small step at a time. Thank you.